Interview with the Vampire Season 2. That's right, folks. Something actually based on an existing property that had an 8 episode first season that was just kind of set up to the actual story. It got a second season. That's crazy to think about in today's television climate. An interview of the vampire show that took a long time to get to the actual story, that deviated a bit from the actual story. It set itself up for a second season, and it delivered on a second season. And it has been so successful in that second season, which could have easily been the end of this show, that we're getting a third season. So that's even better. Real television is back. Now we're going further into other books from Anne Rice. And that's pretty exciting. Anne Rice's estate has signed like a big overall deal with AMC, I do believe, because they're doing this show. Discovery of Witches is also headed into its second season in 2025. So who knows what's next? We could be doing a lot more fun stuff like this. But this is the big one. This is the one that is worth talking about, worth mentioning, worth exploring. Because this show is really good. I did a review of the first season. I thought it was really cool and really well done. It looked big, it looked like a real idea, it was very sexy, and it looked so like thespian and Shakespearean of like these big ideas being played with and exploring like actors acting. And it felt so dramatic and powerful. And then it ended on like a cliffhanger that the thing we've been led to believe throughout most of the first season with who was like Louis' assistant who was working with him, well, that's actually Armand. So now when we get to the second season, we can fully develop the relationship between Louis and Armand and do something cool there. Because this season, it continues the winning streak that the first season had. It picks off almost right where we left off, and it just goes, okay, let's get right into it. First off, let's just address the controversy, or not even the controversy, we're just going to address the casting change we had. And the show doesn't even like stop to be like, no, we don't have to mention it. It's like, this is a show, so we're going to talk to you like you're watching a play, like you're watching a show. The role of Claudia will be played by a different actress in this season. They address it right at the top, and you're like, oh, that's kind of fun. You're having it treated like it's like a theater production, which is exactly what this season is about. So the fact that you're actually calling it out, that makes me respect you a little bit more. And then it's just hitting all the notes. It looks good. The sets are awesome. The dialogue is great. The scripts are fantastic. The structure of the show. We're getting close to the end of this first book, so we don't have a lot more story to cover. We're going to hit the beats about like the love triangle and the damage that comes from it, but also we kind of have to pad it out a little bit, so we'll spend some more time in the present day, set up different arcs happening in the present day. We'll also do an entire episode dedicated to like the past between Daniel and Louis when they first like had their interview 50 years prior, which that's really cool. Like, it is a filler episode sort of that also plays in perfectly to what the relationships are for Louis and Armand, for Louis and Daniel, for Daniel and Armand, and for everybody with Lestat. And you're just like, this is really cool. This show is essentially about the dynamics between four guys, and that's kind of cool to see. Like, it is so melodramatic and romantic and just this very specific intensity of people who have existed forever, have these intense feelings of what they should be, how they should behave, and how to accept their reality and the things around them. And so much passion comes out of that. The passion in this season, it's a little different than the last one, I will admit. It's not as like, let's watch these two guys just get into it romantically. It's more just like, we are this couple who has existed for 70 years. When we tell our story, we're going to be playful and cheeky with it. Bring up the parts we remember, the parts that are a little foggy. And that's handling it in a little bit of a different way. I think between the two seasons, there is a little bit more of maturity that comes into this season, where it's just not even, I don't know if like more respectful of the story we're telling is accurate. It feels a little bit more like, we got you in, okay? We had some great actors in the first season. We told a really cool story, just setting up like this dynamic of this man who's turned into a vampire and his relationship with this man that made him, this destructive sexual relationship. Well, now he has realized who he wants to be. It's a post-war France. What is that going to look like for our people? We're going to meet like a feeder trope of people, and there's going to be like somebody that runs it that Louis kind of interested in. And turns out in the present day that they've stayed together this whole time. And tensions rise from that too. What is their relationship based on? How do they get to where they are? Is there betrayal? Is there secrets? What is hiding from other people? It's beautiful to see that. It's a well-made show. The sets are fantastic. When we're walking down alleyways or streets, it feels big. It feels colorful. It looks big. It looks colorful. There is just great use of costuming and great use of makeup. The makeup is perfect. Whatever we are doing for the contacts in the eyes, I'm guessing it's contact lenses that a lot of these people are wearing for the eyes of the vampire. They're too vibrant. Like, it looks off-putting to look directly at their eyes, which is the point. Like, they should make you uncomfortable in like this ethereal, sexy way, and I think we get that across throughout the entire thing. And look, I said it earlier, this is the relationship of 4 guys. It's also about 3 of the hottest men you've ever seen just bickering and being in love with each other in like a messy, catastrophic relationship. And from that comes some of the best acting you're going to see on television right now. I will say that wholeheartedly. Every single performance in this season is immaculate. It is flawless. They are just on another level, and I just wish, and I know it's not going to be the case, the Emmys or the Critics' Choice stuff, they would recognize this. With Jacob Anderson in particular, and I loved him in the first season. You can tell he figured out what he wants to do in this one, how he wants to play like the separate eras of the character, who he wants to be in the past, how he wants to feel in the past, to when he's like a fully realized guy, towards the literal like final episode of the season, where he is like, okay, I know who I have to be now. And my goodness, he delivers every single emotional range you need to see from a guy in a show like this. There are sequences where he is angry and ready to kill. There are sequences where he is broken and distraught, where he is crying in the arms of his lover. There are sequences where he's like showing you pure joy and happiness and lust. It is fantastic. And he just is so good at every single thing he's asked to do. And he looks really hot in this. Like, they know how to dress these guys. You're like, yeah, this is like a rugged, tough guy. He's sexy. And then like his 2 boyfriends, Armand and Lestat, you're like, what if we had like an embodiment of like the perfect guy just like descend from the heavens, just come down and like have long flowing hair, piercing eyes, and just be like, I'm a beautiful creature of like yesteryear. You're going to fall in love with me. They're fantastic. I really think both of them are fantastic, especially Armand. Now, the actor that plays Armand, Asad Zaman, he's in the first season, but this is where you're like, oh, since we got the second season, let's really go with Armand here. And Asad does fantastic. Like, what he's asked to do is just be somebody who's existed forever and is very comfortable in that. And you can tell there is so much behind the eyes that he's just not saying, not showing you. That's just fantastic. And the same goes for Sam Reed, who plays Lestat. He's not the main focus of this season, which makes sense because we open up when Lestat is dead, right? When he shows up for the powerful moments, because we know that's what happens to Lestat, they're powerful and they work really well. And they give you something so cool to see. And Eric Bogosian, he's so good. Like, you needed an older elder statesman actor who can both be the mature person in the scene, but feel like he's younger than the people he's talking to. And that's like a really powerful thing to explore. And I will say Delaney Hales, who is our new lady taking up the reins of Claudia, it works well. You know, Claudia is one of those roles that you could see a lot of young actors wanting to gravitate to because there's so much you could do with it. And Delaney just shows up in this season and is like, okay, well, you're not even going to remember who the last actress was. I'm just going to come in and deliver the best stuff of the show because this character is the most interesting. She is the other, like, love connection for everybody because she is the daughter. She's the youth. She's the person they want to protect, but she feels trapped in her own life and her own body. And it's just really powerful, really cool. What they do with her is amazing. What Delaney does with her, it's amazing. Everybody is doing some incredible work. There's not a single performance of those 5 I just mentioned that I wouldn't put in like nomination for an award. I think all of them are fantastic. They're all dressed to the nines. They all have piercing eyes. They're all given individually. All 5 of those characters individually are given beautiful monologue moments where you're like, just go off for like 5 minutes about this specific thing and show the audience that this is a show you should be watching. It should be up there with things like The Acolyte and House of the Dragon and The Boys for like genre pieces based on properties you love that is delivering on all accounts, because it is doing that. It is taking the world of Anne Rice's Interview with the Vampire, it is updating it for 2024 while giving you something fresh with a material you're very familiar with. Like, only in today's climate could we get this type of show of this type of book. I feel like this is the perfect time for that to happen and to exist, and we're seeing that made right now in a beautiful show that is big, sweeping, and like a classically AMC thing. It feels very AMC, but it also looks so different from like the classic AMC flavor. I don't know how it is working so well, but it is. It is mixing all of the right blends to give you something truly special, with just everything working so beautiful. And if you want to boil it down to it, it's just a bunch of like beautiful people killing each other and having sex with each other, and an old guy in the present day being like, so you're French and it's weird. And that's kind of all you need. The perfect mix of like everything you like about True Blood with just like over the top gothic sensation. You know, it is just so much of just this gothic romance, intense story of a post-war France and people talking about journalism. And what it takes from the book, it does well, and what it does for itself, does even better. Really makes itself a unique piece, while being wholly a creation of Anne Rice. I think this is better than the first season. Maybe because they just got through, like, you could tell sometimes when a show's like, well, we gotta just get through the origin to really get to the meat of the thing. That's what this feels like. I was all in on the first season. I'm all in on this season. It's really damn good what they were able to do. So, Interview with the Vampire Season 2, I am going to give a 9 out of 10. Now, thank you all for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And of course, I will catch you in the next one. Have fun. Stay safe. Good luck.